Hi, good evening on day 94 of our 99 days. I actually was going to share about the Psyche method to influence your unconscious, but something else came up that I actually want to share more urgently. And I also noticed that practicing with the method of testing your unconsciousness, it's really, really hard to stay in pure alignment, to make the measurement as pure as possible. Otherwise, you get tricked by the mind again. So I'm going to leave this for a couple of days and try to find some more pointers there before I share it. And what came up over the past weeks, actually, and I know this deeply, deeply from my own experience, that the toughest thing to accept is that there's nothing ever to blame outside yourself. And even though people might give you a hard time, or we had this talk about other people playing power over you. So even if the situation looks so bad and injustice is done, or things have happened in the past that can't be changed, our mind keeps us in the same story again and again, because you still want to blame in the sense that you still want to put the things that have happened outside yourself. And even if it might be true that someone else did something wrong to you, it just holds you there. It's absolutely that thing that if you wait for the justice, if you wait for changing the past, if you wait for I wish I hadn't experienced that, if you wait for I wish that person wouldn't have done that to me, that holds you back from any form of liberation. And our mind wants to reason with ourselves that it makes sense to keep thinking about it. Because we can always find a reason why someone else did something to us. And to the mind, it makes perfectly sense. But liberation is not coming from the mind. And liberation is coming from fully acknowledge to yourself that it's just you who can change things about yourself, about the situation, about you feel about things. You're the only one who can change that. And by putting things outside of yourself, you actually give the other, or the circumstance, or what has happened, or what's happening right now in your life, you give the other actually power, in a sense, and it leaves you powerless, or it leaves you with less power. So you actually disempower yourself if you expect the other person to change. And that's a very tough one to change, a really tough one, because if you reason with someone and tell what has happened, then the other person say, well, you're absolutely right. And because we, as humans, have been taught and have been brought up with thinking about right and wrong, we try to find a confirmation in the mind that we are right and that the other person was wrong. And it's not going to happen there, especially not when it's in the past. And if it's in the present, if someone still does things to you that you don't like or that you're frustrated about, then it's not up to the other to change. But first, it's up to you to change, or to embrace yourself, or to deeply love yourself in its broadest sense. And with this broadest sense, I mean that you really accept and love and be okay with everything that happened in your life. And be okay with the fact that it means that you can fully accept that it has happened. And that you fully accept that it's okay that it has happened. It was probably there for a reason. I can't even imagine why it was, but it's okay. I'll let it go. So this is really about anything that's happening to you that you don't like, and you cannot change by a normal conversation. Then it's up to you, yourself, to let it go. And to go back to yourself, align with your inner self. Because the paradox here, if you do that, then the other person has a chance to change as well. But if you hold each other stuck in this sense of conflict, even if that person is not around anymore, but it's like the energy you hold stuck there because there's still a conflict around that energy. Even if the person is not alive anymore, you are in conflict with that energy that's still in there in your body. And you can't let go of that conflict because you expect the other one to solve it for you. But it's in your body. It's like I shared today. All those negative things are held in your body. So whether the other person is right or wrong doesn't make a difference how you feel inside and what's happening inside your body. And it's you're only able actually to deal with yourself. You're only able to deal with yourself in the sense that you want to heal everything that's held within you. So particularly when you hold things in you, because that happened in the past, you are the only person who's stuck with that. And the other person might be stuck with that, but that's up to them to deal with that. You cannot heal another person. You cannot change another person. You cannot influence or convince another person. Nothing of that helps in this deep, deep transformation that we're talking about here. That can only come from inner will, inner drive, the inner will to change. No one else can do that for you. And if someone else is doing it for you, it's only temporarily helping. It's not really helping. Or it won't be really sustainable. And this is honestly the toughest lesson, because you feel absolutely defenseless in a sense. Like you really feel like you have to admit that you defeat, that you have lost first. Because unconsciously, we're still in this fight. We're still in this fight of conflict. And we still want to win. We still want to be right. And if we're right, and even if the other says you're right, even then it doesn't release your pain. It doesn't release your frustration. But try to take this really in, because if you're waiting for another person to do something, then you will this journey will take longer, a lot longer, and liberation and happiness and the feeling of ease and peace and the feeling of flow in your life will take a lot longer. Because you always have a choice. Even if you don't like the situation or the other person is doing something to you, you have a choice. And then you can come up with a lot of excuses why you can't make that choice because of other people. And then again, you're hiding behind other people. And that's actually what a lot of people are doing, hiding behind other people. And what you're actually hiding for is your own pain. That's why you're hiding. So it's still like a defense mechanism to put things outside of yourself. So I would, if you feel stuck in any way, and you can acknowledge to yourself that you actually use sentence like he or she should do this. If there's any should in your sentence, then drop it. Drop it and look back at yourself and see what you can do to heal yourself, to release yourself, to free yourself. No one should do anything. You can only do something for yourself. And this is really talking about the deep, deep level on being stuck in things that keep coming back. But even it's also about little things, actually. It's still about, if I expect from another person to do something from me, then and I think in a sentence like, you should do that. I really don't like it, and you should do that. Then I have to take it back. Then I can only say, for my peacefulness or for my happiness, I would really love if you would do that for me. And then you are just open to the outcome. And I think I've talked about this example before. It's about holding sand in your hand, and if you hold it like this in your hand, free, like open hand, the sand stays there. So the sand in this case resembles the other person. But if you are squeezing the sand because you want something of the other person, you want the person to change, or you want the person to do something, you want the person to give you something, or you want the person to behave in a different way, or you want to change the past in a different way because it hurts so much, then if you literally squeeze that other person, you literally hold on tight to that other person, like you want to have power over that person, and then the sand just flows away immediately. Try it out when you're on the beach. And that other person then literally is perhaps powerless, but nothing has changed either. I mean, you're left with no sand in your hand, and you're left with the same frustration. So it really needs a different kind of thinking. Be very, very precise here. And I keep repeating that, and that's really is what the journey of waking up is all about. Be really detailed about how you think. Any he or she in your mind right now is already kind of toxic. So always rephrase it in I, or for me, or to yourself, obviously, not to the other person, but to yourself. What can I do differently here? How can I feel hurt less here? How can I give my boundaries here? How can I be seen here? And why do I need that? Even all the things we talked about, the 5 flavors of not being good enough, to be loved, to be seen, to be heard, etc. That's always underneath this when you're still stuck in frustration. There's something there for you that needs to be seen, or needs to be felt, or needs to be felt, sorry. Or need to be loved, or whatever your flavor is, your color is. So you're still still hoping that the other person is solving that for you. And the most beautiful thing is, and you might not feel that right now, but if you do let go and you just are completely at peace, then there is no neediness anymore. Nothing. There is no good enough anymore. So if you have had moments like that, then you know it. Then even in those moments, and then you reflect back to the past, if it's really an honest, pure feeling of inner alignment with your core essence, and that feels healed, then in that moment, you cannot even feel wronged about this past situation or what the other person is doing to you. Immediately you get softer. And the other person might still do the same thing, but it doesn't touch you anymore. It doesn't hurt you anymore. So this is really about healing yourself and not healing the other, and not expecting the other to heal him or herself. This is really about healing yourself. And when you heal yourself, you give the other person also a chance to heal himself or herself. And then still there might be an outcome that things don't really change or the other person can't heal him or herself. But then you can make a conscious choice from a healed place to make a decision or to choose for yourself again. And I really had to learn this lesson in the last years of my marriage, because I often went into blaming my ex-partner. Often. He wasn't doing this, he wasn't doing that, he should be doing that, and nothing changed, obviously, because he felt stuck as well. So we both were actually stuck in the same situation. And still it's a tricky one. As soon as I feel less in peace, less in alignment, and something happens, then I can easily see myself blaming the other person in a very soft way. It's not really a hard blame, but it has the tendency of blame. And it's really putting things outside of yourself. And it's all about you. And if you really take it very pure, these wisdom teachings, then there's nothing else but you. And once you've known that and experienced that it's all one, we're not even separated. We're not even, in energy-wise, we're not different personalities anymore. We just have, well, the most we're just different purposes. Then there is nothing to compete with, because you immediately compete with yourself. And in our reality, we compete with the other. But actually, we're competing with ourselves. The other is our mirror of ourselves. And this is a very complicated way of looking at it. But in practical daily life, it still is what I started the first 15 minutes with. It is really about just take everything within, and try to look for your own answer, what you can do to help yourself, to heal yourself. And I've suggested the mirror exercise before. Stand in front of the mirror and really, really deeply love yourself. And in the places where you feel hurt still and not seen, talk to yourself in the mirror. And then either a lot of pain comes up, or tears, or grief, or sadness, or anger. Because you actually see your own pain then. So if you really want to take this to the next level, in the sense that you really want to come closer to your deeper essence, then it's seeing actually perfection in everyone around you, including yourself. Don't look for flaws. Don't look for mistakes. Don't look for things that another person is not doing or doing in the wrong way. It's all perfect. It's all meant to be like that. It's just perfect as it is. It is a play. It really is a play. If you look at it like that, then it gets light and fun, and then there's love flowing. And this might sound really fluffy and very spiritual, and it is actually. So it's always this balancing act between the pure wisdom teachings and the practical application in daily life. And eventually it will merge again. It will become one, because then the spiritual teachings become actually daily life. Yeah. So focus on yourself, not in a selfish way, not in the egoistic, selfish way, but focus on yourself to give the other person space. And at the same time, be very soft with each other. anyone around you, whether it's an issue you have with your family, whether it's an issue you have with an ex-partner, whether it's an issue you have with your partner, whether it's an issue you have with a child or friendship. Still be very soft in this process when you focus more on yourself. And I really took time in well, I think it was the last year of my marriage. I really took time to take evenings for myself and to really sit with myself to heal. Because if you're constantly in each other's space, in my case, because it was in a marriage, I was constantly in each other's energy, and that's very confusing. If you need to heal yourself, you're constantly influenced by the energy. Actually, that's most confrontational at the time. And if that person is at a further distance, obviously have more time for yourself. But then the switch in meeting that person makes it difficult again, because you're suddenly confronted with that energy, and that can come directly in your energy. So it has it both is complicated. But the message here today is just, it's all about you. It's about your healing process. It's about your love for yourself. Because you cannot love the other person if you don't love yourself 100%. Okay. Well, I'll see you back tomorrow. Bye.